IPv4 addresses are 4 bytes or 32 bits. And since 2 to the power of 32 is equal to about 4 billion, so using 4 bytes, we could only create more than 4 billion different IPv4 addresses. And since we were running out of the IPv4 addresses, so 3 ranges were defined. These 3 ranges. Every IP address in one of these 3 ranges would be considered a private IP address. Private IP addresses are only for inside the local area network communications and are non-routable outside the network. So for example, if a router outside a network see a packet that has a private IP address as its source or its destination IP address, would discard that packet because private IP address, as we said, are non-routable. And IP addresses outside these 3 ranges is considered a public IP address, which are routable in or outside any network and in the internet. So the Internet Service Provider or ISP would allocate a public IP address to a router of a network. And then a router acting as a DHCP server, when a client comes to a network, that router would assign a private IP address, an address in one of these 3 ranges, to that client or system. Now, using this private IP address, all the devices inside a LAN could connect to each other and communicate and send and receive packets and data to each other. But when a device wants to send packets to another device outside its own local area network or in the internet, it needs to have a public IP address. So rather than just assigning a unique public IP address to every client, all of them have a private IP address, and when they want to communicate to other devices outside the local area network, the packet would go to the router, and then the router would translate the private IP address to its own public IP address and then send the packet outside that network. This process is called NAT, or Network Address Translation. On the other hand, when the response comes back and wants to go to that client, the router will receive it, looks at its table, the routing table, and then translate the public IP address to the private IP address that was assigned to that specific client, and then forward that packet to that specific client.